All right.
Hello, everyone. We're back.
Yeah, we're back. Very excited about this. We have Eric July here with us today. And as we usually do with all of our guests we have in the live stream, we let them introduce themselves. So, Eric, go ahead and let everyone know who you are.
Well, like I said, I'm Eric July. It's hard to kind of narrow down all of the things that I'm involved in, but obviously the co-founder of BeingLibertarian.com, as well as the frontman for the band Backwards, metal band, Billboard charting metal band. So yeah, I'm an activist, obviously, libertarian, anarcho-capitalist. And keep my hands in pretty much in everything. Got a whole lot of different interests, and we'll be here all day long if I sit here and try to name off all of the things. But obviously, most people know me for being a very unapologetic and really outspoken libertarian, and also just a musician that is using his craft and using his art to really try to get this beautiful message of liberty and voluntarism and anarcho-capitalism out to people that otherwise would never hear it or never take it seriously.
Yeah. I think one of the things I was really curious about is how did you become a libertarian?
Good question. Well, it's certainly, I think like most libertarians, it didn't start that way, right? I was a leftist, just like pretty much everybody in my family is. And so much so that I was part of, Obama's campaign back when I was at the University of Memphis in 2008, and doing a whole lot of, soul searching is what it took. More so really just getting more knowledgeable on economics was what did it for me, and taking an interest in it. Even when I was still stuck in my box, I wanted to know about the Black economists. And thank God I found out about Walter Williams, Dr. Walter E. Williams, as well as Thomas Sowell. And it just changed my life. You can read the first page of, first couple of pages of Basic Economics, and it just puts it all in perspective of how the state, even some of the things that, I guess the more legitimate gripes, I'd argue that most of the gripes from the left aren't even legitimate, but the ones that are legitimate has historically, in terms of root, come from the government. And Walter Williams more so as he definitely liked State Against Blacks, and his work there has really been able to point that and pinpoint that, and so it just really allowed me to not only again do some soul searching as far as, all right, well, some of the things that I was griping about as a leftist aren't really legitimate, but also really just putting my frustration on things that I did find problems with, and aiming them really at the people that are causing it, and that's the state. That is. So it certainly was a progression. I didn't start that way. I mean, definitely when you have it beat in your head that you're supposed to vote one way, you're supposed to support a particular party, it's just kind of grows on you. And all I did was, again, it just took economics and it changed my life. It simply changed my life. And it wasn't even any sort of like, after that, once I was enlightened, it was like, bam, straight to pretty much anarcho. Before I even knew what anarcho-capitalist was, I was already there. So it certainly was some soul searching, but most definitely better later than never. I mean, a lot of people, I was 18, when I started to at least get some things going in that area. I was still relatively young, but thankfully I caught it when I did.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty young, because I only recently kind of figured that out, and I'm in my 20s, so
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
You said that you were part of the Obama campaign, or you?
Absolutely. Yep. Campaigning for him out there in Memphis, doing a lot of things in that regards, and really just being so extra when he won. It was just nonsensical, man, and I didn't know, just like a lot of young college kids didn't know what the hell really he was about. We just saw a black guy, and that was it. It was like, oh, this is going to be our chance to finally get one of us in the White House. And that was why I kind of gravitated towards the support. Anyway, just really, I guess not gravitated towards the support, because I was being grown up a leftist. I was going to do that anyway. It didn't matter who they put up there, but more so being as active as I was obviously, it was attractive in the fact that, he was a black guy. So that, I don't know, it just, certainly I was very enthusiastic about it, and looking back at it now, it was just, you know, childish. It was nonsensical because I didn't know what the hell I was talking about, man, and I didn't know anything about really his policies there. And that was really, it's funny because I adopt this whole position now where definitely when I'm arguing with leftists that are bringing emotion into their non-arguments, I'm not about to sit here and try to beat you over the head with facts. I'm gonna shame you. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna shame you straight up. And the reason why I do that is because you can't really, it's hard to reason somebody out of a position that they didn't come to by way of reason. You're not going to reason that person out of it. Definitely if they're emotionally, they came to this line of thinking by way of emotion, you're not going to try to intellect them out of that. So, you know, it did take with me as a youngster. And this is why I kind of adopt that position, is because you can lose so many arguments. I remember arguing with some, you know, Republicans, campus Republicans, and just losing arguments. And you're like, you don't know, it starts to take a toll on you. Like, all right, I really don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I might want to try to get more knowledgeable on some of these subject matters. And that did it for me. So it's almost like I got shamed, not necessarily out of the position itself, but shamed into wanting to understand what it was that I was talking about. And in that said journey, came across the likes of, you know, again, Walter Williams and Thomas Sowell, and it just changed everything. So certainly from experience, I know people think I'm hard on leftists, but I'm not hard on them out of just ignorance. I used to be there.
Yeah, that reminds me of all the tweets that you've been going back and forth with the Socialist Party.
Oh, man, yeah. Every seems like at least every other month those guys pop up.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if they follow me or if they just are looking up keywords, and that's because I said socialist or something like that, they come find me. But yeah, usually every other month it seems they come find me and they're talking all of this nonsense, you know, about, again, it's just garbage. You know what I mean? It's complete garbage. It's complete, you know, nonsense. Because it's not like these guys know anything about what it is that they're talking about. But they certainly are dead set on defending one of the most dangerous ideology, historically speaking. And it's dangerous, but it almost seems like a parody account when I read so many things that this Socialist Party is talking about, because it's like memes, right? Every stereotype that we have of these guys, they're tweeting about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
they're verified too. They have that little blue check mark.
Yeah, so, no, it's legit, right? It's legit. No, it's not a most definitely it's not. They're based out of the UK. It's not an illegitimate page. They're dead serious. And that's what makes it all so funny.
It's kind of like the some of the Antifa Twitter accounts out there. They're really they're serious, but they're not serious because they're parody accounts. But
yeah, it's for real, so that makes it worse.
Yeah, right. No, I'd absolutely argue that when they are dead serious like that, it makes it worse, because you can, you know, it's all fun and games, but when you have somebody actually being advocates of this such a historically dangerous ideology, man, there's no excuse for that. It's no excuse at all.
Yeah. So as someone who was working for the Obama campaign and was happy with everything and all that, what were some things that was happening during his presidency that not only the things you were learning about, you know, libertarianism and all that, what were some things that he was doing that were kind of eye-opening in terms of this is what I voted for?
Well, I think one of the biggest things, obviously, you know, I know all these stimulus packages and stuff like that he was trying to put forth when he first got in office. But I know a lot of what did it for me is seeing the lies sort of manifest. Now, granted, it was sort of, you know, we're getting down the line, but when you look at stuff like Obamacare is a big example, and he campaigned on this idea that it's not a tax. It's not a tax. It's you can keep your own doctor and all of this nonsense. So more so the fact that it was not a tax, and then the Supreme Court passes this law, and they are essentially saying, you know, resolved that, hey, the only reason that this is passed is because it's a freaking tax. So I'm sitting here like, wow, you know what I mean? He knew that. I mean, he was a freaking, you know, constitutional lawyer. This guy he's not an idiot. Yeah. You know, he knew that, but he was just seeing those sort of lies just manifest. And you know, that wasn't the only example, but most definitely that was one of the more prominent ones, because it was like blatantly like, all right, dude, you campaigned right on this. And then the opposite happened. And, now we have Supreme Court law essentially and the precedent saying that, the only reason that this even exists as a law is because it's a tax. It's like, all right, well, dog, you was lying, and you're not stupid. It wasn't like you were, oh, you didn't know. No, you was straight up, flat out lying. So when you see somebody lying like that, certainly on things that they were campaigning on, it can certainly change you. But to see that those lies sort of manifest was what did it for me. And I'm sitting there looking at them like, come on, man, like really? And then, obviously with the war efforts and, when it was all said and done, he ended up bombing more countries than Bush did when it was all said and done. So, I mean, just seeing that manifest, unfortunately, it did do it to enough people, but certainly I know a lot of people that were along the lines of my thinking that saw that. And they're like, all right, this dude was he was a crook. He was a crook. And it was a guy that these leftists put in front of us that we went out in record numbers to go out there and support. But, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, especially for me, because this past tax season, knowing that you owe money because you didn't have health insurance because of that dumbass, and was like, really, man?
That's offensive, man. I mean, right? I mean, that's another thing that, I mean, finding somebody for not having, definitely folks like our age, you know what I mean? I think we're all the same age, 27, 28 years old, you know what I mean? And being this young, and therefore back then, you're relatively healthy. I know I was. I didn't really necessarily need insurance. I was a track and field athlete. And, I was good. I was good. But to see somebody to have to, all right, but I have to actually, even though I'm really sick or anything like that, I have to go out of my way to get insurance, because if I don't get insurance, I'm going to get fined. Like, how insane that, when you shouldn't break it down like that, it's insane. It's absolute insanity that they are essentially forcing you to get insurance. So they're forcing you to pay for something, and you're going to pay for it either way it goes. Because if you don't have it, then they say, well, you got to, when tax time come around, you have to pay this fine. And it's just hella offensive, man. And I really don't see how people thought that was okay.
A lot of people say stuff like, oh, well, if you don't have car insurance, then you'll get fined. But it's like, how can you compare that to health insurance?
Right. No, most definitely. I mean, and even so, it's like, even with car insurance, a lot of these, I know after we're in Texas and, we're required to get it and all of these inspections. I know I even question those, you know what I mean? Cause it's like, you're forcing people. Cause like, for example, a guy like myself, I've never been in a wreck. So Geico is have been eating. I mean, they eating well off of my money, the much money I paid them, because I ain't saw a dime of that. I ain't saw a dime of any of that money I've been paying. I'm a male. I was under 25 even right now. So much for equality, right? If you're a dude and you're under 25, you're paying way more for for car insurance. And I haven't seen, because I've never been in a wreck, you know what I mean? So I haven't, so even there, but I certainly understand and I respect the aspect of insurance, because the idea of insurance is that, you want to have it in the event that something does happen to you. So even if it wasn't compulsory, it's not to say that people wouldn't get it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not required to have house insurance, but I have it because I got a lot of shit in here. And if something happened and catch on fire, I need to be I need to be able to be protected. You know what I mean? But I'm not required. I'm not required to have house insurance or something like that. And that's the problem. And that's what a lot of definitely leftist status, they don't understand that aspect, and giving somebody that's so much for pro-choice, right? And giving somebody that choice to, make a decision and say, all right, well, if I'm not going to be sick and I take my chances, because I just don't want to be pimping, just giving money to the health insurance company that I know I'm not going to see back because I'm not going to ever be sick. Okay, I don't want it. They should be able to have that decision and obviously pay for the repercussions in the event that something does happen to them. They get sick, they break a leg, and they got to come out of pocket for the expenses. That's what it's about, being a human being. You got to be able to take those said risks. But it's the state playing daddy and saying, "Oh, you have to have this, and we know what's best for you, man." Come on, man. No, you don't.
I think that was the turning point for me, where the government is people, and we're also adult humans, and why do we think that they know better on how to live our
Well,
lives.
some people think the government's full of lizards.
Right, they get in that position of power, and then all of a sudden they get magic powers. Right, is what it happens. They wear a badge, or they swear to some oath, and out of nowhere they are the most noble, all-knowing individuals. And you know what I mean. You can get get all these, definitely from an economic standpoint. You get all these centrally planning Keynesians that will, get in there and say, all right, this is what's so insane. And Mark Cuban, who I despise it a lot of times, I don't know, me and him have gotten into it on Twitter all the time, but I'm a huge Maverick fan, so I gotta follow the guy. But the one thing that he said in these like, for example, politicians, they always come up with these 10-year, like Bernie Sanders, I'm gonna be able to pay him, but got this 10-year plan for and to help make college free. And Mark Cuban had pointed, it's like no business does that. No business operates on a line of thinking that I'm going to be able to predict exactly how much money I'm going to make, exactly how much money I'm going to spend, yet alone next year for free in 10 years from now. Like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to predict. But why do we let government and individuals within government, these government economists, get in there and say this, whether it be through the, obviously they have their budgeting and whatnot, but also politicians that are running, so I'm not talking about just like in the federal budget or CBO or anything like that. I'm talking about politicians like Bernie Sanders, who are aspiring politicians to be president, who will run on a plan and say, this is how I'm going to be able 10 years from now. Like, there's no way that you have no way of knowing that. You have no way of knowing that, but it just goes to show that for whatever reason, you get these people in positions, and it's not even just with government, with academia as well. They just get in that position. And it's like, I know it all, and I'm done. Like, I ain't even got to make sense. Like, it just makes sense. I ain't got to explain nothing. So come on, man.
Yeah, it's like anyone who starts a business will automatically think, I want to make money off of this business I'm going to start. But look how many businesses fail.
Bingo.
So
within 5 years.
Yeah, if that, you know what I mean? Within a year, hell, like, because it's just, there's no way to predict it. So why do we allow government and politicians to really try to predict that from way years down the line? Because you cannot predict. That's basic human action, and why people need to understand and read Mises, because that's essentially what he is saying. Like, you can't predict. That's why we're that's why we adopt Wall Street. Even Chicago economists understand this. Sowell points this out all the time. Like, why in the hell is like a group of bureaucrats how are they going to be better suited to tell people how to spend their money better than individuals within markets full of millions of people? You think the 12 bureaucrats who I've never met in Washington, D.C. Can legislate or like, it doesn't make sense. When you break this crap down, it doesn't make any sort of sense. But for whatever reason, when you start talking about government, you start talking about academia, it's like, man, we just let them make it. We just let them make it in making those arguments that don't make any sort of sense.
Yeah, and that I think that's a disconnect between people, because they just assume government knows better. So
well, we voted them in, so obviously they know, because
what about the people who didn't vote them in then? What about those?
Well, they're dumb. They voted for the wrong person.
Right. No, that's how it works, right? I mean, it doesn't make sense. It certainly doesn't make sense when you look at it and really dissect these sorts of approaches, and that's a problem. Like, and that's the importance of self-ownership and the importance of letting individuals understand they own themselves, and they're going to be better suited to make decisions for themselves. And it's like, I can't even predict when the hell I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Like, that's impossible for me to predict. I have no idea. I don't wake up like, all right, man, 12:33 tomorrow, I am gonna take a leak. Like, I have no way of knowing that. I have zero way of knowing that. But for whatever reason, this economic plans, like, for 10 years down the line, and you got people that legislate and say, hey, man, regulate as well, saying this is going to be exactly what's going to happen in the event we pass this law. It's unfortunate. It's certainly unfortunate. It doesn't make any sense. Again, it doesn't even pass the smell test. But again, people are so it's just that sort of false sense of security, and way too optimistic, and way too just willing to give up your rights to an entity as long as it's a state official to say, hey, here, have all of my rights. it's yours, you know, or at least half of them. I have a percentage of my rights. They're yours because I know that you know not only what's best for me, but you know what's best for my neighbor. And it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about net neutrality because that's a topic now. Okay, so here's my basic overview of it and just the things that doesn't make any sense to me. People are complaining about, you know, monopolies, right? So net neutrality is there to basically eliminate monopolies. Am I right so far?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Okay. So there's that, right? But then you have people like Comcast, Google, which basically YouTube, Facebook, coming out and saying, yeah, we need net neutrality. These dumb fucks are actually monopolies, right, and they're coming out for net neutrality. That doesn't make any sense.
Right. And it's so I did a video on this, man, and I was out of my hotel. Where was I at? I can't remember. I was doing some work stuff. I was out of my hotel, man, and I had my little portable microphone. I was like, I'm about to do a video because there's no way that I can't let these people keep making it with this idiocy. And it's weird because it's like this idea that you're fighting against big business, right? That's why I'm net neutral. I see all these people down my timeline left. It's because, you know, stop monopolies, big business, and the main people behind net neutrality is the big businesses, these gigantic corporations. So it's like, what are you talking about? Like there's gigantic corporations on each side of this issue. So the fact that no, it's like what it is net neutrality essentially acts as welfareism for these gigantic you know, corporations. That's why they indeed love it. That's why they love that government action, because it has that sort of uncertainty in the if that law, the net neutrality law, is not there. But it's funny because government created this whole issue of net neutrality. I documented this. Anybody wants to go check this out, it's on. I did it for Being Libertarian. It's like a 15-minute long video. I broke down, I mean, from the get-go, the Bell monopoly and how that was created through government and government action, and how even, you know, to this day that the Comcast and all these people of the world is not because of anything net neutrality does. They say, oh, well, in my rural area, I only have X. And often it's funny. I catch people in lies all the time because you can look any of this shit up. But, I only have an option of one internet provider. I'm like, all right, where you stay? All right, bam, bro. It's like 5 internet service providers that you can get. What are you talking about? Like, quit feeding these lies. But even in the there are certain sections where people these like that, but that's more so with zoning laws. But net neutrality doesn't stop that. It does not stop these big internet providers from working with local governments, essentially banning their competition. That has nothing to do with net neutrality. Net neutrality does not stop them by any sort of means, but for whatever reason, we have allowed these leftists and these gigantic corporations to get out there and peddle these lies. And it's funny. It's so funny because Spotify is another one, really behind a leading streamer, really behind this whole net neutrality thing, right? And you get all these people who are on that side of net neutrality start talking about, well, fast lanes, slow lanes, and all of these ideas, which I'm not opposed to any of that. But they start talking about fast lanes and slow lanes, or people, I guess, censoring people, right? Censoring certain websites, people having the power to censor certain websites. And it's like, it's funny because Facebook, you know, and all of their censorship and what's happening, it seems to lean one way. And you look at Spotify, they're doing it right now. They're doing it right now where they're starting to, you know, ban certain artists and stuff like that. I'm so wondering what's going to happen to Eminem and all that, since he shifted to the left, and he's had some, you know, they went with Extension and R. Kelly, and they said, all right, well, we're not going to support. We're not gonna put him on our playlist or anything like that. I'm like, well, Eminem said some pretty raunchy things. Is he next? You know what I mean? And I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with that. But you know, these are, I guess you can argue, is censorship. My thing though is, I have no problem with them having the power. That's their business. So if they don't want to put somebody's music out there, fine. But for whatever reason, like when they don't want internet service providers to have that same sort of right to be able, and it's not to say that they would do that. It's not to say that they would censor people or have fast and slow lanes. It's not to say that they would do that, but the idea that they shouldn't have the power to do that is just insane. While these big, gigantic corporations from YouTube, like and Google, on down, who are literally censoring people, Facebooks of the world who are literally censoring people with their own platform, why in the hell do they not think that other companies can't do that? I mean, this shit doesn't make sense, man. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that, but I guess I'm going to say it as many times as I need to, because the more I'm talking about this stuff, it's like this stuff does not pass the smell test. How are they able to peddle these lies and this blatant walking contradictions, walking hypocrites?
Yeah, and it's funny too, because a lot of YouTubers are advocating for net neutrality, and then they're complaining when like stuff on their own YouTube page is like, hey, why am I not getting monetized for this video? You know, it's like,
why is my video?
Hey, idiot!
Come on, man.
For net neutrality. So, I mean,
come on, man. Like, it's so blatant, right? It's like these guys they are so oblivious to that, right? It's like, damn, like you're going through this, or you're claiming that something is going to be a problem, and the company that is backing a lot of these ideas, I'm so for net neutrality, I'm so for it, has not only been accused of or not even, I don't even want to, it's hard to just say accused. I use accused because I'm trying to be fair, but the more I see it, it doesn't seem like this is by accident. That definitely people that lean to the right are on these platforms being censored, you know, in comparison to the left. Not to say that they're on left is being demonetized and stuff like that, or in Facebook case being perma-banned, or in Twitter's case being shadow banned or stuff like that. But people should think about, these are gigantic corporations. These companies are really massive. They make a lot of money. So if you think that you're in support of net neutrality is taking it to the man, you are oblivious completely.
Yeah, they're way off.
I don't understand why people think that. I mean, like, didn't it only exist since 2015 or something, right?
Right, the law that they're essentially overturning. Yep, that's correct. Completely correct. That it hasn't it didn't exist until recently. But the internet got along just fine, right? The internet got along just fine. Now, granted, there were other laws passed before that, but specifically in the topic of conversation as to what happened recently and what's being overturned, the laws that are specifically targeting what happened in the last few years. And it has nothing to do with these laws that it is specifically targeting those particular laws. So for them, it's just false. It's just simply false for them to believe that, all right, well, when I guess it's a freak out, right? It's a pearl clutch. It's like, all right, well, because they are trying to eliminate said law, then all of these bad things are going to happen because this law was countering this, and the law, what they're referring to, is simply not true. You know what I mean? So it's unfortunate. It's certainly unfortunate that a lot of these people are able to peddle these lies and really continue to push them forward. And I think people just need to follow the money and really see that, you know, which companies are the ones that are being advocates of this. And it's not just with net neutrality. It's with a lot of regulations. You can always go to lobby groups and you can follow the money. Like who wants these regulations? And when us libertarians say things like minimum wages and all of these things, and business regulations are hurting people that they claim to help, you can go look historically at, I mean, Bacon-Davis Act was just, I think, one of the pretty much the last racist laws that are with racist origins that are still on the books. And I hate to shift the conversation, but that's just a mere example, you know, of if you look, you know, when these laws are being, like, for example, the Bacon-Davis Act and the racist motivations, the racist origins of these said laws. But when you think minimum wage and you get all these leftists, they say, well, specifically poor people that are in inner cities and yada yada, they're not going to make enough money to be able to take care of their 6 kids, and as if that has anything to do with me. But they're not going to be able to take care of these 6 kids, not understanding it, and it's often a minority groups. And it's like, well, ironically enough, these laws were passed historically to price these minority groups out of the market in the first place. So this is why I think it's just funny to me when I see black folks in particular holding like 15 signs and saying $15 an hour. And I'm like, if you only knew the racist origins of not even minimum wage in this country, but in historically speaking across the world, and laws, you know, whether it be like South Africa, Australia, in which these laws were utilized and really put forth out there to price minorities out. I mean, Chinese labor in Australia, black labor in South Africa, black minority women, youngsters, priced them completely out the market because these people didn't want to, more so white folks didn't, more so white men. It's funny, these guys want to bring down, they think white men are the source of all evil, right? And then there'll be advocates of laws that were passed by them historically to help bolster, put them up in a situation of success and really price other people out of the market. And that's just a mere example. It's so many different regulations that have these sorts of origins. So you always got to follow the money, man. This stuff is well documented. I'm not making any of this stuff up.
Well, I didn't know any of that, actually. That's interesting.
No, well, definitely. Like, I'm not making any of that stuff up. You can look up minimum wage laws in this country. Look at the the origins of the Bacon-Davis Act and how people did not want to compete with labor. And again, it's just not here. I mean, minimum wages historically have done that. I mean, Australia is a perfect example of they did not want to compete with Chinese immigrants. White Australians did not want to compete with Chinese immigrants, so they passed minimum wage laws to price them essentially out of the market. That's exactly what it does. And it's funny because it doesn't now. And even minimum wage doesn't now. Definitely black. And you see black unemployment every time it's raised or anything like black unemployment, black teenage unemployment is always the highest among any sort of demographic, and it's pricing them out the market. I mean, Walter Williams has pointed this out long before I was even thought about being alive. Born in 1990, he's pointing this out long before I was even thought of being alive. And him talking about how these black folks in the city, black folks go to these rotten schools, so they ain't getting no sort of legitimate skill set or in that regards. So their way to gain these sorts of skills to be marketable and obviously to make more money is to get jobs and work. But you got these age requirements and you also have these minimum wage laws that are pricing them out. It's literally saying it's illegal to hire you. That's what it's saying. It's saying that it's illegal to hire you. So, and it's very unfortunate that they just won't let them work. They don't want to let them. It's like Ron Swanson said, child labor laws will ruin this country, man. I'm with them. I'm with them on that, man, because they are, man. Damn it, they are.
We can look at it not just from a social or even a racial standpoint. We can also look at it from an economic standpoint. Why $15 or whatever minimum wage?
It's gonna be bad.
Yeah, because when you look at a business standpoint, you have to counterbalance paying an employee $15 to however much you're making in terms of profit.
Right.
Profit $15 to an employee an hour, that's gonna add up, and then you're gonna have to fire. Yeah, you're gonna have to cut their hours or even fire them because you just can't afford it.
Right, and that's I mean, you're 100% right. And it's funny that people hate the big businesses, but that's who likes those sorts of laws, because Walmart's gonna be, I don't want to say they're going to be fine, but they're going to be able to outlast a $15 mandated federal minimum wage law. Like they're going to be, it's the small businesses that are going to, I can't afford that. Mm-hmm. I can't afford that. So again, pricing people out of the market, pricing, smaller entities, businesses out of the market. That's exactly how it works. It's not any sort of secret. It's historically worked that way, and you can just use logic. Again, like I am a smaller business. I don't have that much money. How am I going to be able to afford to pay somebody X amount of money, more than what I was paying them previously? I can't afford that. So it's so silly because there's so many different laws. We'll be here all day long talking about the different laws that are on the books right now that are hurting the main people that are advocates of these sales laws are claiming to help. Like there's so many laws out there. It's like, well, I'm trying to help these sorts of people. The small, it's usually the poor or middle class and all of those sorts of, that seems to be the target. And those are the main people that are hurt by these regulations and by these laws. It's so unfortunate. So unfortunate that people don't realize that. And it's like the equivalent to really pulling a pin out of a grenade and just holding on to it. That's what it is. It's about the same. It's about the same thing. You're just pulling out a grenade and holding on to it because it's just going to blow up in your face.
It's also the same thing with Obamacare. Employees have to give, their employees health care, but they can't afford it, so they don't give it to them because you have to have a certain amount of.
So when that passed, I was literally in a business, a big business. I don't want to say big; it was big enough, because I was in the gym industry right out of college. I was general manager, and my franchise owners literally sent me a document basically saying exactly that, like, due to Obamacare, like point blank period, due to Obamacare, we're going to have to start getting rid of people. We're going to have to start making people full-time and cutting loose our part-time employees, because I can't be affording. We can't essentially afford to be giving these people working a certain amount of hours, giving them paying for their health care and all of that. So what we're going to do, instead of having maybe 12 employees, maybe 4 part-time and the rest are full-time or something, or maybe 4 full-time and the rest are part-time, we'll just have 7 full-time employees and the other one's just going to be asked out, because we're not going to be paying for them to have insurance. So Obamacare absolutely does that. You're forcing people to have to provide health care. I just don't see how people think that. What do they think the money just like comes from? Like, they just think it just comes out of thin. Like, it's all right, they're a business, they exist, they can afford it. Bam. Like, anybody that's worked with numbers, or been a manager of anything, like, and seen the bottom line, you recognize that. And definitely in my situation, whether it be through memberships and or through anything, like, well, my essential income is predicated on how good the business is doing. I'm having to look at all these numbers. I'm having to look at all of these numbers and seeing how much we're bringing in. And, when you're looking at that along with P&L and all these other different things and how much money that you're spending and what you're making on merchandise and all these sorts of things versus your payroll. I'm having to level that out with my payroll. Like, anybody that's been in that situation knows that, okay, the money don't come from just out of the wazoo. And just because this business is doing well does not mean that it could certainly withstand something as big and a problem as like Obamacare. And just keep doing this. I think that's what a lot of people expected. It's like what I think with a minimum wage, they expect the same thing. Like, as it acts now, like, everybody that's working right now, it's just going to start making 15 and there's going to be no changes. Like, that's not how it works. It's going to be some changes, and you probably going to be out of a job in a lot of cases. So it sucks, because I know that there are people that are economically illiterate, and I'm trying to use my words as harsh. It sounds harsh, but I mean that in a literal sense. They're economically illiterate and they don't know better, but then you get those that should know better, and it's no excuse. It's no excuse for them to know better, and yet they still are advocates of these laws.
So do you think that, or like to that point, do you think that most people are just, I guess, ignorant, or just they don't know about these types of things, or they don't know that it's hurting them, so they advocate for it because they like take it simply?
They can look at it too from like this is short term. Oh, I'm getting $15 an hour instead of $8 or whatever. They're looking at what I'm going to get tomorrow instead of
looking at it down the line. Right. That's a good way to put it as well. But yeah, to answer your question, like, I think that's exactly what it is. I mean, people are looking at what sounds good, and this is that's the job of a politician, right? Is to make it sound good, and they do a good job of it. They make it sound good, and they will say all of these lies, even things that they know. It's funny. Like, what's the governor of Jerry Brown, governor of California, before they passed their recent minimum wage laws? Like, don't take my word for nothing. Go look it up. He says that before he even signs he still signs it off, even though he recognizes that there's no evidence that supports that the minimum wage laws and minimum wage increase is gonna be a net gain. There's no proof of that. I'm still gonna sign this damn thing in the law. But it's like
how can we do that then? Like, what is wrong with people? I don't know.
It's just like, again, like, people, they unfortunately, things that sound good, right? It's all about what sounds good. Definitely when you're dealing with politicians, and that's why, definitely from anarcho-capitalists, that's our our goal is to eliminate politics. So we recognize how often evil that it is, because no dictator, no tanked economy or anything like that, for the most part, even the Hitlers of the world, they didn't get in office by being or acting as if they weren't trying to help people. They always did that. Every dictator, like in the history, not even just, you know, regimes, these communistic regimes, they came into power by saying, look, what I'm doing is for the greater good of our country, for the greater good of this territorial monopoly that the government, the state controls, is for the greater good of the people within it. Like again, don't take my word for anything. These people do not rise to power by saying, just bluntly speaking, all right, I want to kill all y'all. Like, that's not what it is. It's not what it is. Like, no. I want to do what's best. And they always have this motivation. It's always well-intended. Even if it results in the deaths of millions of people, it's always well-intended. So that's why the goal of it, like I said, anarcho-capitalism is to essentially eliminate politics, because it is an evil son of a gun.
It's true.
Yeah, I was just gonna. I don't know if you heard about the new, I guess, I don't know what you want to call it, Amazon tax in Seattle, where apparently the Seattle City Council passed a new tax past Monday, where they're going to charge big companies $275 for every employee that they have. Just because I don't know, I guess there's a big company or whatever, but
yeah, it's I mean, and people wonder.
Here's the thing, though. I'm sorry to interrupt, but here's the thing, that the reason why they're doing it. Okay, so the head tax, right, is supposed to fund housing for the homeless.
That's right. Oh my God, right? It's always well intended, right? As I said, it's always well intended. It's always well intended. It's all help the fact that, like I said, I'm trying not to be cussing and stuff, but it's like, how can you sit and look at like a government, like you looking at the federal government, for example, that has spent literally $1 trillion annually, or figuratively, whatever you want to say, $1 trillion annually on fighting poverty, only to fail.
Yeah, like the war on drugs, right?
That's another example. You know what I mean? Like spending billions and trillions of dollars only to fail. They're not getting anything. They're not just half the time. These laws are diametrically opposed to actually solving any sort of issue. Yeah. So look at that issue. Okay, what if these big businesses say, "We getting the hell out of here. We're not having our headquarters set up in Seattle. We'll go to Dallas." Which is so many Fortune 500 companies are coming out there.
They're gonna make it like another headquarters, whatever. They're not gonna build Dallas. They're gonna build somewhere else. That's basically the thing, yeah.
Exactly. You know what I mean? They go somewhere else. So think about all the people's jobs who essentially will lose their job unless they, you know, again, it depends on how the company is. Sometimes they pay for relocations and stuff like that, but sometimes people are stuck to the ground. They can't move. Those people just lost a job. So what you're doing is essentially diametrically opposed to helping people, but it's always well intended. Like you said, it's what they said in the law, right? Well, it's all for the homeless, right? It's always for the greater good of society, even if it tanks an economy in the process, even if it's a effect that is diametrically opposed to what it is that we claim that we're trying to help. Even though that's the case, well, it doesn't matter. I don't care. It sounds good. It's this moral grandstand, right? Is what it is. But like I say, they're willing to tank the economy, and they're willing to. It's a threat. That's what I see. It's a threat to businesses. That's what I see that law as. It's a threat. I see it as a threat, saying like, all right, man, you stick around, you're going to lose some money. And nobody likes to do that. You know what I mean? So they're like, people are going to certainly look for options. They're going to look at their options. So if the Amazons of the world and, you know, whoever is out on the store, you think Starbucks is out there as well. If they say, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. They say, look, we getting the hell out of here. Mm-hmm. And it'll be solely on it. And then people need to look at them as, at those guys as criminals. Those people that passed those laws, that were advocates of past, they need to look at them like the scum that they are and say, this is on you. This is your fault. People are going to lose jobs because of you, because of you. That's on you. And that in that geographical area, if people lose jobs, you know, all the business, all the other, because people don't understand how businesses work. It's like why, you know, so many people want the Super Bowl or something like that in their area. It's not just because of the Super Bowl itself. It's because of all the business that the Super Bowl is going to bring. You get all these people that fly out, so all the local restaurants and stuff like that. So it has that effect when maybe one business is doing good, other ones do as well, because that attraction is there. You know what I mean? That attraction is there. So you're willing to derail that entire sort of economic setup, just a moral grandstand for the homeless. Like, come on, dog. Like, really? That's crazy as hell to me. It's crazy as hell.
If anything, it's going to create even more homeless, because
that's what I'm saying. Diametrically opposed. It's going the opposite way. It's going the opposite way. That and they might end up with more homeless people because people are going to lose jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah, if companies are being charged $250 or $275,000 or $275 or whatever it is for each employee they have, well, the business is going to be like, well, if I have 50 employees and however much that adds up to, you know, from 250 or whatever, well, I'm going to fire 25 of them because that's less money out of my pocket.
Bingo. So that's what I'm saying. They're going to make the adjustment anyway. So whether they get out of Dodge, because they're not going to sit up, and that's what I was saying earlier. That people think that, all right, well, I passed a law. People are just going to keep acting the same way. That's not how humans operate. It's certainly not how businesses operate. You pass a law like that, they're going to make adjustments. They're not going to just sit there and take the hit. That's not how it works. That's what, like, how stupid would that be? All right, well, I know you're going to charge me $200, so I'm going to be losing per employee $250. I'm just going to sit there and bend over and take it and lose them. Hell no, I'm going to make my adjustments because I want to keep that money. I want to make my adjustments. So, come on, man. Like it doesn't make sense, but I think that's how it works as far as in people's minds, that they think, all right, well, like that with the minimum wage. All right, well, if I'm making $8.25 now, if we pass a $15 minimum wage, everybody that works right now is just gonna still be employed. They're just gonna be making more money. Like, come on, man. So economic. It's foolery. It's foolery, man. I don't know what other way to say it, man. It's freaking foolery.
Yeah, and Rand Paul today, or I'm pretty sure it was today.
Yesterday, right?
Yeah, he was kind of going over because he was going over his penny plan or whatever, and to balance the budget, which apparently Lindsey Graham came out and said, yeah, I'm against it because the military is going to be depleted. Yeah, fuck you, man. Anyway, enough about Lindsey Graham. Anyway,
man, these guys, man.
Yeah, so he went over some things in terms of what the government wastes our money on, our taxpayer money, which we all know, you know, taxation stuff, but that's a whole other stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, so one of the things that they did was, and I'm not joking, he literally said this and he was talking about it: cocaine and risky sex habits of quail. So
what?
So what happened is, what common sense suggests, science has confirmed over and over again, namely that cocaine use is linked to increased risky sexual behavior. Just to be sure, however, one federal agency thought it should test the hypothesis on a new test subject, Japanese quail, just to see what the correlation is between cocaine and sexual activity. We're going to do quail, and they spent over $356,000 on that.
Right.
Your taxpayer money going to see what kind of correlation that is for fucking cocaine and quail and all that shit. Are you kidding me?
Man, it's funny, man. I've seen a lot of those, those little waste reports, Rand Paul's waste reports, and you see some of the idiocy that's in there, like the amount of money that they're spending on just nonsense. Like it's nonsense, but it goes to what I've been saying and other libertarians have been saying for years and why not, just, yes, we recognize the taxation stuff, but also from a government standpoint, and why they have no incentive to use your money efficiently is because they don't operate like a business. You know what I mean? I don't have the option of just saying, you know what, screw you, I'm pulling my money out, I ain't giving you nothing. No, it's theft. You know, they steal it from you, and between that and the Federal Reserve, they are able to, not only just monetize the debt, but able to spend money on these things for nonsense. They don't have to spend it efficiently because they know they get it anyway. Because again, they're stealing it from you. They operating by basically holding a gun to people's head and saying, all right, here's the money. Like, y'all hand over the money. You know what I mean? That's what they're doing. And unfortunately, it's a lot of people don't realize that, right? A lot of people don't take that into consideration as to, all right, yes, we recognize, taxation. At least we recognize taxation. Steph, the leftists obviously would disagree, but it's why that they're so inefficient, because they always say, leftists say, well, it's not that we're taxing people. They think we should be taxed more. That's what they always say. So, yeah. But they'll say, oh, it's not that. Well, we just got to shift the money. Right. And I'm sitting here like, you idiot. They have no incentive to do that. They have no incentive to move them. Like, what the fuck? I think it's going, all right. Well, they always say, oh, well, the military is spending so much money. We just got to shift the money from the military over to these programs and voila. That's not how this shit works, man. That's not how it works at all. Like, they have no incentive to do that. What incentive do they have to do? No, it's like, hell, I can spend money on looking up retarded stuff like that because I'm gonna get it anyway. It's not operating like a business. No business would ever dare to look into some shit, no research. Just like, no, man, I'm not looking into that. I don't care about any of that. There's no incentive for me to do something like that. But even so, just from an economic standpoint, businesses, they understand that, all right, well, if I mess up, right, or if I use this money, I spend this money efficiently, I'm at risk of losing money. You know what I mean? If I walk into a store, I am unsatisfied. I think the store is crap. I think the products are crap. I'm going to take my money. I'm going to put it elsewhere. I'm going to give it to the competition. Government doesn't operate like that. It's a monopoly. That's why we call it a territorial monopoly on use of force and violence, because there's no competition. There's no, who the hell they competing with? Government's not competing with anyway, maybe other governments, but they're not competing with anybody within their own geographical area. So it makes them the state. If they didn't have their monopoly, territorial monopoly on use of force, violence, and ultimate decision making, they cease to be a government. They cease to be a state. But that lack of competition is why it's inefficient. It's why it will forever be inefficient. So these leftists who think that we just move the money from here over here, they're just too naive to understand that that's just not how it works. They have no incentive to do that, and they will never do that. So that's why we start from the standpoint of, all right, let's just get rid of the taxation altogether, because we can't trust these idiots to spend our money efficiently. Plus, I don't want to give it to them. Ultimately, I don't want to give it to them.
And plus, it's a crime, and which is called tax evasion. If you don't pay your taxes,
right,
go to jail. Ask Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, man. So many different people. You know what I mean? Like, ask them. That's what they will. That's why we say that they're holding you at gunpoint, because if you don't give them the money, they come in, they send in their goons. Mm-hmm. They will send their goons. They will either garnish your paychecks. They will, and if you say I'm not doing it, they will kick down they're gonna try to get their money regardless. This is why we pay it. Nobody pays taxes voluntary. Nobody would pay it if that was the case. You know, and maybe some, I don't know, bootlicking somebody might, but I like most rational people don't look forward to doing their taxes. You know what I mean? Definitely those that know they're gonna be losing money. Like, those upper income people are like, damn, it's that time of year where the government is gonna say I owe they ass money. How the hell can I owe you money when you've been robbing me this whole time?
Yeah, we both owed money. Well, he owed money because of the healthcare mandate, but I owed money. I didn't pay enough. But so what do you say then I don't know why I get this argument all the time, but the people who argue that taxation isn't theft, they always say, they always go straight to either you hate poor people or what about the roads?
As if nobody's ever thought about that. And that lets me know right there, man. When somebody hits me with that, y'all see me going back and forth and making fun of these. That's what I'm saying. I shame them, man. They need to be shamed, man. I don't care. Like, these people need to be shamed. But these people will hit me up and say, like I've never thought. It lets you know right there they're still on basic bitch level 1 politics. If they say some shit like, well, who's gonna build the roads? Like, man, you think ain't nobody thought of this? Ain't nobody, there's no libertarian literature, anything. Nobody has thought about, well, I'm over here, that business is over there, I got to be able to travel to it. Well, shit, I don't know how this is going. Like, you think nobody's ever thought about this? Like I said, Walter Block has a, I mean, irrefutably, probably the best work on this, like specifically on privatizing the roads. You can get it free, PDF over at Mises.org. called privatization of highways, roads and highways. And he goes through all of that, how you already overspend on it right now, but it's like you said, they default to that. They default to hating the poor is because they've been indoctrinated to believe that the only way something can get done, whether it be road building, whether it be charity, is through the poor. Through taxation. You know what I mean? And they will use the poor as this sort of crutch or excuse really to be advocates. It's like, well, if we don't have these laws or we don't have these, this taxation, well, poor people aren't going to be able to do anything. So they will rob people. Oh, it's always in the name of the poor. It's always in the name of the poor. But these people, like I said, should be shamed because they are still on level one. Like, if you think I ain't thought about who gonna build the roads, and you think I ain't thought about charity or anything like that, then you still on basic bitch shit. Like I ain't even. What is there to argue? What is there to argue if you still on that? Like I was long beyond. I was, like I say, that's my month number one when you become a libertarian. That's on the manual, the tutorial at the beginning. We go through the roads and we go through everything, the poor and all of that stuff. We well beyond that. Like, hit me with something better than that. Like, don't hit me with who gonna build the roads or something like that. But regardless, something doesn't cease to be theft simply because of the motivations or the people that they think that they're helping with the money that it comes from. It doesn't cease to be theft. Like a guy that kicks down my door, takes my TV, sells that motherfucker, and then gives buys food for his daughter with the money. Just because he did that doesn't mean that he didn't rob me. Like that doesn't mean, that doesn't stop it. He still kicked my door down. He still took my TV and sold it. Like he still stole from me, bro. Like it doesn't matter what he did with the money, whether it be through whether they do something positive with it, or which is a subjective term, or whether they help the poor or whether they piss it away. It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't cease to be theft simply because you think that it's going to somebody less fortunate. And that's something that they just don't get. They don't understand it.
I feel like that's the main argument all the time. Like I was listening to Dave Smith's Part of the Problem the other day, and he was reading an article from 2014 about how taxation isn't theft. And their reasoning basically was that the money that you had before taxes isn't your money because you don't deserve it, because like government should decide what you deserve.
Yeah, he was also saying too that, as an analogy, I don't think LeBron James deserves the amount of money he makes. I think the people at the Mises caucus or Mises could make millions of dollars, but they don't. But people pay to see LeBron James, so he gets that money because
people don't understand that. Again, that preference is subjective, man. It's certainly subjective. People find value in certain things, and they don't find value in other things. You know what I mean? But the thing is, it's like, it's still theft at the end of the day. Like, and it's funny because the thing I hear the most is that, well, it's not theft because of a roll, or I drove on a roll or something like that. And I'm saying, like, bro, I didn't tell him to do that. I didn't sign nothing. I didn't tell him to do that. I did not tell him to build that damn road. I didn't tell him to build that school. I didn't tell him to pay for these Medicare, Medicaid. I didn't tell him to do none of that shit. If it was up to me, all of that wouldn't exist. So how can they rob me and hold me again, holding a gun to my head, taking my money? How can they take? How that makes no sense. And then what they say is that, all right, well, you can just leave. That's how it's not theft, or that's how it's voluntary. You can just leave. Again, by this logic, like, why did anybody tell the Jim Crow era black people that? All right, well, we have these laws that are forcing you guys to segregate from people. If you don't like it, just get the hell out.
Yeah.
Like nobody says that. No, nobody said. Oh yeah, we have these laws that are treating you badly. Just get the hell out. Don't. That's not how it works. But they don't even use that. They don't universalize their arguments. This is why it's so silly to argue with the left, because they don't universalize that sort of position. They never universalize that position. It's like, all right, well, you're telling me to move. Okay, what about the Jim Crow? Oh, that was different. No, the hell it's not. They were free to leave. Hell, there was some people that were staunch when you look at the Marcus Garveys of the world, and a lot of these black nationalists, hell, a lot of them were saying, let's get the hell out of here, go back to Africa. You know what I mean? So, but again, that doesn't cease But there were people that were fighting to eliminate these laws because they didn't consent to it. And it's the same thing that works to taxation. Just because I'm here, just because I'm here in the flesh, does not mean that I consented to be robbed. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sort of sense just because I'm here. Well, you're here. You didn't move away. Therefore, you're consenting to being taxed. It's like, what? Like, if does that make it like if the government said that it was legal to rape women or something like that, which in a lot of cases, if you look at what's going on in a lot of Middle Eastern countries, in a lot of senses it is, unfortunately, are they saying that the women are consenting to that because they're still in that geographical area? Like, no, this doesn't make sense. So why in the hell does taxation, for whatever reason, people just don't universalize the argument? It's like, oh, well, it doesn't make sense. But like I say, that's why it's a waste of time to try to reason with leftists who are in these positions, because they didn't come to that line of thinking by way of reason. They didn't get there by reason. It's purely emotional. And when you're emotional like that, you have no reason to be, consistent by any means.
So someone asked on the chat, it's a very hard question for you to answer. They're asking if Dallas is nice.
Man, I love this city, man. I love this city. I absolutely love this city. And I didn't appreciate it as much until I lived away from it. Specifically, I was getting in a lot of trouble. I grew up gangbanging, being a knucklehead and stuff like that. My mama sent me to live with my grandmother in the country, Joanne, Arkansas, man.
Oh, wow.
And so I was living in there, essentially in the country, no internet or anything like that. I mean, granted, internet was not really that fast when I was that age. So it was just now starting to get to that point, but I didn't have access to any sort of internet or anything like that that was worth a damn out there. So not only that, it's just that experience, right? And being a situation where economically you can do whatever the hell you want pretty much out here in Dallas. There's an avenue for it, no matter what you're trying to do. That's why I love it, man. I love it out here. And also living away from it for 6 years, being in college, from 2008 to 2014 I was either in Memphis or in Corpus Christi, and I moved back. Granted, the lady was what brought me back, but I love the city, man. I love it. It's awesome.
You lived in Corpus Christi?
Yeah, I live in Corpus Christi. I was at the University of Memphis from till 2009, and then I transferred to Texas A&M Corpus Christi. I was a collegiate track and field athlete. So from there up to 2013, I was there in college, and then I worked there right out of. Again, I was in the gym industry. I worked there right out of college, so I was there for like two more years after that. So yeah, I was in Corpus Christi. It's a nice little city, but man, it ain't got nothing on Dallas. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's funny because I wanted to move there when I was moving from the East over here, and then, but then I ended up moving to Dallas because of my job. But then when I went to visit there, I really liked it, but I just still can't, it doesn't compare to here. I don't know.
Nah. It's perfect because, like I say, you can still live in any sort of setup. Like me, I live in the middle of nowhere right now because that's what I prefer. Being not around, like be around these motherfuckers. So I'm chilling, but there's areas like that where you can go, you can be, if you like that city life where you're like right in the city, you can be in that sort of area. If you want to be in a suburb of Dallas, you can be in that sort of area. If you want to be in a more rural area, like sort of where I'm at, you can live that in those sorts of areas as well. So it has that sort of living. But the economic benefits are there as well because there's something for everybody in terms of industry, whatever industry that you want to be in. So it's fantastic. Love it. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I love it out here, man. I love it.
I feel like anywhere else in Texas, it's kind of, you feel isolated. Or I've traveled to a couple different cities, but I feel like around here it always kind of runs into another part of town, so you not so isolated.
Yeah, no, like I say, it's something for everybody. I mean, even in the more rural areas, like where I'm at, kind of up north, east of Denton area. I mean, it's I love it. You know what I mean? So I love it where I'm at, but I've been there. I've lived in the city, growing up, living in a city, been in suburbs. You know what I mean? It's just something for everybody. I love it.
You said you're north.
Yeah, I'm like Aubrey area, like kind of like I said, it's east of Denton. It's like right between, like, because you got Prosper,
Yeah.
Salina, all of that. I'm like west of there. You know what I mean? So
okay, we're in McKinney, so.
Oh yeah, so y'all right down 380. You know what I mean? So yeah, I stay off of 380.
Person.
Yeah, no, yeah, we could absolutely do it in person. Yeah, y'all right down 380. I'm right there. I'm like y'all right down the street. That's crazy.
City part. Because
nah. I was born and raised in that setup, but nah, man, like I ain't trying to be in the city no more. Like, nah, not at all. I'm up there. Like I say, I specifically moved out here because I like that. I'm away from that sort of setup, and I like being really, just kind of in the middle of nowhere, low key like that. So I love it out here.
I agree. It's nicer up here. The traffic is terrible. Like you can't.
Oh man.
Go in a car, then it's like.
That's the negative thing about Dallas, for sure, is the traffic, man. Definitely once you start getting back, start creeping down towards the city, like my office is out of Irving, where I do a lot of work out of, man. And yeah, like it's terrible, man. It's terrible.
That's really far. That's like, I can't even.
Yeah. No, most definitely it is. It's way out there, but that's how big. I don't think a lot of people realize how big this Metroplex is, man. Because it's funny and like when I talk to people in Corpus, I was in Corpus Christi, they think like, I got to drive from Staples to, or Ocean Drive all the way down to Castoris or something like that. And it's like a 10-minute drive and they think that's far. I'm like, man, 10 minutes don't get me nowhere out here, man. Like, what the hell are you talking about? That ain't nothing. That get me to fucking that won't even get me to Frisco. 10 minutes from here, that ain't gonna get me to Frisco. That's nothing, man.
Here it's like if it's under 30 minutes, it's like, wow, that's really close.
Right, exactly, right? Exactly. If it's under 30 minutes, like, man, that's down the street. Not a damn 5-10 minute drive, man. I don't know what the boys out there in Corpus was talking about, but yeah, man, it just they thought that was a far drive. I'm like, man, y'all ain't seen nothing. Like I said, from here to Irving, I'm driving 45 at minimum. That's selling 45 minutes.
I would say like an hour and a half, depending on when you're going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. If you go, once you start hitting like 7 o'clock, man, that's traffic start flowing. Oh man, that's gonna take you spend at least an hour, out there. So, but I don't know what they talking about, man. But I love it out here. Most definitely wouldn't want to be in any other metroplex in the world. And I travel. That's my job, man. I'm always around doing these speaking engagements. I've been everywhere, and nothing compares. It's funny. This chick asked me to Brittany. She works with Foundation for Economic Education. Big shout out to her. She's in Austin right now, and she was like, "Oh man, it's the best city." I was like, "Hell no!" Like, Austin is trash, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Austin. Y'all know I love y'all because granted. Y'all know I love y'all because we do a lot of shows and we got a huge following because that was my old band. We were based out of Austin. I was there back and forth. But hell no, I wouldn't live in Austin, man. Hell to the no. Like there's no way I would do that, man. Definitely, with all those damn California migrants, man. Like, nah. That place is not, that's not where it's at, man. That's not where it's at all.
The only thing good about Austin is their food. But we have good food here too, so it's like
whatever. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's like whatever I can get in Austin, I can get here. You know what I mean? Part of the music scene, definitely. If you just want to be an up and coming musician, like it's the music capital of the world. You can't really go wrong with Austin. But other than that, man, come on, man. Like that could say with all those California migrants, they running that place to the ground, man. Like I ain't not at all.
Yeah. So obviously being in Dallas, I don't know, probably not her as much, but you and I are definitely, I would, since you're a Mavericks fan and obviously a Cowboys fan.
Yep.
I'm not a Cowboys
fan. Yeah, you're going to get massacred.
Yeah. And I'm also not a Mavericks fan.
How dare you?
I'm a 49ers fan.
Okay, so that's probably the second worst team you can root for because they are rivals, right?
Well, with the rivalry and all that.
Yeah.
But then I'm also a fan of the Chicago Bulls. So I'm like,
okay. Yeah. No, ain't nobody mad at that. Yeah, and like you won't get as much hate about the Bulls because I mean, definitely out here, with the Jordan dynasty. A lot of people, you get a lot of people that are fans. The 49ers, not so much because, like I said, there's some hatred going on in the same era. It's funny when Michael Jordan was doing this thing, we were trying to beat the hell out of the Niners You know, and we cost Jerry Rice getting a lot more less rings than what he probably deserved.
Yeah, in the 90s for sure.
Yeah, they were a really good team. They were a really good team.
Yeah, because 3 out of the 4 years, it was basically 4 years pretty much straight. It was the Cowboys and the Niners in the championship.
Yeah,
yeah. Times the Cowboys won. You know?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like
time that team won, they won the Super Bowl because the Niners when they won the Super Bowl. So yeah,
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like it's we cost them, you know, their championship. Had we not exist, because there was a really good team. It just was a bad era, man. Because the Cowboys was just bad, man, and bad in a positive way, man. It was so good. Back then, had it been any other era, that Niners team would have been blowing through everybody, man. Because you know they were just that good. But yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, it was pretty much the Cowboys were basically the '90s team, you know, the '90s dynasty. And then, it was just that unfortunate time, at least from my perspective. You know, you have Steve Young, Jerry Rice. You know, Will was the running back. You know, and then of course, you know, Cowboys with the big three of Smith. So.
It was tough. It was tough, man. Like I said, those boys were. I mean, Linus had a lot of people between. You know, we had Ken Norton as well, but they did, and they had a lot of our old teammates as well. But yeah, man, between those guys, you know, the Ronnie Lottses of the world, man, those Niners were the real deal, man. But it's just, like I said, it's just, and it had been in any other era, man, without us having Aikman, Irving, and you know, all that offensive line. It had it been anybody else, man, it would have went another way. But that's the way football.
You also got Charles Haley too.
Yeah,
I think it was the 9th person with the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I say, with Dion, you know what I mean. When he came, you know, he got one for us. I mean, those defenses were so good. Leon Letts of the world. You know, it's just. I don't know if we're gonna ever obviously get back to there, but it's certainly a good time to be a Cowboys fan.
I actually want to ask you about what your opinion is on with the whole Kaepernick thing, because that was a big news story for about a whole year.
Yeah,
you know, and of course, being a Niners fan, I guess I'm supposed to like him. I guess all this protesting, whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't really give a shit about it.
Like, yeah, same here. My thing is, it's like, first of all, I know he's still a status, so I mean, I don't take any. Look, again, I don't give, and that's what I think a lot of desperate libertarians get so off. They get off by like, oh man, we see somebody that's standing up to somebody, we gotta support them. Like, no, the fuck I don't. Just because you are right on an issue one time doesn't mean that you generally get it at all. You can still be doing it for the wrong reasons. But my thing about sports, man, is, and it's like that for a lot of people, is I specifically am attracted to sports because it gets me away. It's why I love these comic books and stuff like that as well, because it gets me away from the politics that consume my fucking life. You know what I mean? So when that stuff starts crossing over like that, I get irritated. Same thing with social justice idiocy that happens in Marvel here, you know, every now and then. Like, that stuff irritates me because I'm specifically, that's my outlet, right? I want to get away with it. And it's also how a lot of us connect with individuals of different ideologies, because we enjoy, like, you can go to a sports venue and you will see people of so many different political alignments, whether it be a libertarian, conservative, left, like, you will see so many people that are, and that's where they get there. And it's all about, you know, enjoying the atmosphere, enjoying the team, having some fun and stuff like that. So when people, that was my only issue with it. I mean, not because I give a shit that he's kneeling for the, you know, fucking flag or anything like that. I mean, personally, if it was up to me, I wouldn't give a crap what they did. But the fact that in doing so and putting a spotlight on himself, and he embraced the hell out of that. He was trying to make it political, you know what I mean? And that's what I dislike about it. You know, granted, even if I thought he was wrong or right on a on a subject matter, it doesn't really matter. I personally dislike it because it's making something political that I specifically listen to this, or I'm into this because I'm trying to get away from it.
Yeah. I mean, too, with him, you know, people are saying, well, why why is this so-called quarterback who's basically a backup, a journeyman, why is he getting a job and Kaepernick isn't getting a job? You know, Sean Kings of the world are saying, oh, look at the stats before you left, you know, he had 16 touchdowns before. Yeah, well, what was a win-loss record?
Yeah, like people were talking like he was just cold. Like, no, he wasn't. Like, first of all, he was a mediocre at best quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, he's a mediocre, and like, it's one thing to be controversial and be balls out. Like, if you gonna ball out, that's fine. But people aren't willing to put up with your shit and take that risk of having that attention, because it brings both negative attention, it brings maybe some positive, but bring a lot of negative attention. People aren't willing to really take that risk if you ain't that good. Like, why would I take a risk? And I know you're a backup caliber quarterback, right? Well, but I know that me signing you is just going to do nothing but bring me, for the most part, negative attention. You ain't even starting, bro. Like, why in the hell would I want that on my team when I can get a more low key guy that's just as good? You know, even if he's a little worse, you know what I mean? I can get a low key guy that isn't going to bring that sort of negative, because people were serious about this. You're talking about completely, and a lot of people blame, you know, low ratings here and there because of that situation. Nobody wants to be, you know, really take a shot at their business, because maybe some fans are like, man, I don't want to support this Kaepernick guy. I ain't even going to their games. I'm not buying the tickets. I'm not buying the merchandise. The business is losing money. You know what I mean? These individuals, these owners are losing money. So I understand it. I certainly understand it. It's different when you, like, if you're the coldest person out there, you can do some, like, LeBron James can do whatever the hell he wants because he's LeBron James. He can be a social justice, you know, with his social justice idiocy that he's sometimes advocate of. He can go bug dance with Hillary Clinton. He can do all that because he's considered the best player in the world. So he can do that. Kaepernick, your ass ain't even close to that. So people, that's why people don't want to take that risk. It's all economic when it boils down to it. But, you know, I think a lot of people get so tied up and, oh, well, look how good he was doing. Well, it's like, first of all, he wasn't that good. You know what I mean? But either way, because he wasn't that good, on top of being a controversial figure, people just don't want to deal with that.
Well, also people look back on what happened surrounding Tim Tebow when he went to, you know, like the Jets or whatever team he went after he left the Broncos. He was just a backup, but people were like, well, what's Tebow going to play? When's he going to play? He's not the starting quarterback. Why you care? Well, like, be on the fourth down play or whatever.
Yeah.
All the people's questions were out just asking about Tim Tebow when he was like maybe in 1% of the people's, you know, in the coach's playbook or whatever.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was another thing. It was like with his whole, you know, he was obviously, he's a man of worship, which I don't knock that at all. But it's like, it's funny. People are making it about his race, not Tim Tebow's race, but with Kaepernick and stuff like that, and what he was an advocate of. And it's funny, like I said, same thing kind of happened with Tebow. He was ostracized, but he also wasn't that good. He's okay, you know what I mean, at times, and he showed flashes. Definitely when he was with the Broncos, when he's okay. But like I say, people are only willing to put up with so much. If you are cold, people will put up with some stuff. People will put up with some stuff. It's easy because winning. That's because winning, man. It's medicine, man. Like, you can put up with a lot of stuff. It's like, damn, man, I hate your guts, man, but we winning, so I'm gonna put up with it. But Kaepernick, he wasn't winning. He's a mediocre quarterback at best in NFL. He compares him to the rest of, you know, these other quarterbacks, and people just don't want to take that sort of risk on a guy that's, you know, just okay. You know, if he balling out, it'd be different. Yeah,
I mean, you know, I definitely want to get a quarterback who lost a starting job to Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah, right. And then in the long run, it worked for 49ers anyway, because, you know, with Garoppolo, he looks to be the real deal.
So I'm definitely getting back to relevance again.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He seems to be the real deal. So it worked out. But yeah, people just, and that's the problem with politics, right? It clouds people's judgment, man. Like, it clouds their, and that's why I don't want to keep it out. I want to keep it out of, you know, sports, man. I would love to keep that stuff out of sports, because I do not watch sports for people's political shit, man. I don't give a damn about any of that. Like, you know, just run the football, throw the football. You know, I don't care like that. That's why I'm watching. I'm not watching to give a damn about what social activism. You know, you about that. I don't give a damn about that.
What do you think?
I'm just wondering. I'm thinking like, does that mean? Because I don't know that much about sports. Sorry. I mean, I should know because for some reason all the girls in Dallas always are into sports, but I'm not. Do you think Kaepernick did that because he's not that great and he wanted to get some sort of attention?
I mean, it's hard to say. I personally, I don't know. I wouldn't just straight up say that because I don't really know. I mean, a lot of people have made that argument, and I can understand where it comes from. I don't really know the guy's intentions, but they may, even if his, I think in some cases, I think his motivations are genuine in a lot of sense. I just don't care. You know what I mean? Because I'm not watching you to play football. I'm watching you to play football. You know what I mean? Like me personally, I'm not even a 49ers fan, so I wouldn't watching them at all. But I wouldn't want him sniffing Dallas Fort Worth by unless he's on the opposite team. I don't care. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't want him anywhere near the Cowboys. Not even as a backup, let alone a third string guy. Like I wouldn't want him anywhere near, because again, I don't watch football for that, man. I don't watch sports for that. I'm not into like to say comics or anything like that. I'm specifically in this because I thoroughly enjoy it, and it's really my outlet to get away from this stuff, man. So, and it's funny because it's a way to do it, right? You could still be if you want to be this activist, right? Because I'm not saying that he should just not have personal opinions. No, absolutely not. I'm just saying there's a way to do that. You know what I mean? Like if he wants to, he's going to have a platform because of his name sake. So if you're in the off season or even during the season and your personal tweets and I don't care, like whatever, that's your business. But again, when you start taking it to the field and stuff like that, that's when the shit gets annoying to a lot of people. So like I said, I'm not one of those shows, just shut up and dribble. No, that's not what I'm saying. Like you're a human being just like anybody else. You just happen to play a sport. You know what I mean? But in the same respects, people are watching your sport not because of your social activism. And that's the same thing with anything. Like I'm not, if Albertsons or some shit or Kroger's or where I shop at for my groceries, if they became this, started putting social justice shit in their stores and shit, when I'd be like, there's no way I'm shopping at this place. I'm not here for your social justice. I'm here to get a loaf of fucking bread, bro. Like that's why I'm here. You know what I mean? That's why I'm here. So again, people are going to these mediums for that they love football, for example, or they support this business because of whatever, I don't know, good or service they're providing. It's not solely because of or they don't even care about your social activism, your political beliefs, or anything like that. They don't give a damn. A lot of people want to keep that stuff separate. And again, like I said, I understand he's a human being and he may have opinions, Kaepernick, and as well as others. And I'm not one of those shut up and dribble guys. That's your business. Even if you're wrong, because you certainly gonna see me on Twitter. If you say some stupid shit, you're gonna see me say something about it. So I ain't knocking that. If you want to take it to Twitter, we can take it to Twitter. That's fine. But you gotta understand that some people, like in your profession, they don't give a damn about that. That's just the reality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I wanted to ask just a last thing about your band, Backwards.
For sure.
I wanted to ask you, what was the decision? Like, what was the process behind wanting to remake Bye Bye Bye?
Oh man, that was, dude. Like, so we've done covers. That was our third or fourth cover that we've done. But we wanted to mix it up because obviously we're very political,
right?
As far as our lyrics and stuff like that. This is solely why we do it. Like if you're not into that, you wouldn't be into Backwards, and we understand that. But we wanted to show people that we're obviously human beings. I think people think that we're kind of consumed by it, right? And we're not. I mean, that's just what we use Backwards for. It is that medium. So we were like, man, we were tossing out different cover ideas and was like, man, it was like, what would show people that we're human beings, but also be so completely out of left field that they would be like, there's no way they would ever do this. It was like NSYNC, blah, blah, blah. And that's exactly what people thought. They were like, what the hell is this? But then they heard it and they were like, oh shit, like this is really good. Like,
Yeah.
because we're musicians, dude.
Reaction that I had.
Yeah, like no, but we're musicians. Like we make music and we're good at what we do. You know, we're good at our craft. And we could do that. And we wanted to show people like that's what we can do. If we wanted to make that sort of music, we could do it. And we'd be damn good between the versatility of the people that are in this band, our musicians, but also the dynamic between myself and Alex. Like when people heard Bye Bye Bye, people were just not figuring out that I could sing. Like people that I knew, they're like, oh, I didn't know you. I'm like, fuck, where the fuck you been? You know what I mean? I've been doing this shit for I don't know how long, like definitely been in my old band, like my old bands, like that's all I did. You know what I mean? I did all the singing. It's just Alex is a better singer than I am. So of course he's gonna be doing most of the singing parts. And I'll do some here and there. But it was cool to show that sort of dynamic with him and I singing, doing, you know, melodies and stuff like that. You know, it was just it was fun. It was fun to record. Breath of fresh air, certainly, to step away instead of doing a political song all day long, political songs all day long and doing that. And it was just fun to do, to take a sort of a classic pop song and make it our own. And a lot of the reception spoke for itself. People were like, what the fuck? You know, like how the hell did they turn that into that sort of style song and make it sound, you know, pretty decent?
That's it, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that song definitely threw me off, but it's good.
Yeah. For sure. Well, like I said, as long as you enjoyed it, that's what it was all about.
All right, Eric. Well, we're gonna have to end it there.
Sure.
Really appreciate you again coming on.
Yeah, thanks.
And yeah, I really appreciate you taking some time to talk with us, and love to do it again sometime. So go ahead and plug anything else that you want to go ahead and plug, or.
Absolutely. Well, like I say, you can find me everywhere. If you want to, you can follow my YouTube. I talk about a lot of this stuff. It's Young Ripper 59 is my handle, but I also talk about a lot of comic book, non-political related stuff as well over there. And, you know, we're doing everything. Backwards is still going. We are at Pork Fest next month. We're also doing some shows on the way back to Pork Fest. So stay tuned to those particular dates. And, you know, at some point in time, we got to start working on album number 2. So, you know, you can find out more about that on backwardsmusic.com. And, of course, Being Libertarian, where we do what we do over there at beinglibertarian.com. Follow us over at Facebook. You know, want some cool memes as well as some good video commentary, which is what I'm responsible for. You can head over there. But most definitely, I appreciate you guys having me on, and it was fun. Anytime you want to do it again, and if I'm free, let's do it.
Yeah, the Avengers X-Men post where someone mentioned they liked it, so it's one of the points.
Oh, sick, man! Appreciate it. Yeah, man. My wall, you can't really see all of it. I see a little bit of it over here, man. It's comics all over here, and what y'all can't see all over here, man. Like I said, when I think when I started doing the comic videos, people saw me. I rock all the gear. You know, I got this Black Panther shirt, for example, and I rock this gear. I think people grossly underestimated like how much of a nerd I am when it comes to this until they saw my videos, me just breaking down like history of certain characters and stuff like that. Like, nah, bro, I'm like really, really into this stuff. And I just the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'm like into the comics, and I have been. I mean, it's been an outlet for me since I was a kid, man, and I thoroughly enjoy it.
That's what we should talk about next time.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll have to see you guys at a show sometime. See your band.
Absolutely. You guys are in the city. I mean, we don't do a whole lot of Dallas shows, but I mean, you know, if we're on tour, it always stops through Dallas. So more than welcome, man. Come on out and see us, you know, get loud and rowdy.
All righty. Well, again, appreciate it. And thanks everyone for watching, and have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Peace.